Hey friends, what's up? Welcome back to Gents. Forgot my name. Over the years, I have smelled, purchased, collected thousands of fragrances, which is kind of crazy to think about. It's not normal.
To them, you're just a freak.
But over those many years, I've come across a lot of scents that are never going to get any kind of hype or love, that are actually absolutely worth knowing, worth owning, and would crush for lots of people out there. And today, that's what we're talking about. Just because they fly under the radar doesn't mean they can't be S tier, or A tier, or C tier. But we're talking S tier, okay? All of these are gonna be linked in the description. Check them out down there. Where do we begin?
What?
What was that? Where do we begin? Let's get a little weird, a little funky, a little Pepe jeans. And this particular Pepe is Addictive Indulgence. Yeah, Addictive Indulgence. I think that I paid like 20 bucks for this or something because I got the 50 mil. And Pepe jeans is a brand that in general, fragrance-wise, pretty cheap across the board. And most of them are actually pretty solid, like good wearable stuff. This one is an eau de parfum. The real drawback with it is it's not that strong, at least in terms of projection. In terms of longevity, it'll stick around for a while. It's just not a monster, not a room filler. But in terms of the scent, this stuff is perfect for what's really popular right now. It's sweet, has kind of a gourmand lean to it. It has cocoa in there. I think officially cacao, but you know, chocolate. It also has vanilla, labdanum, leather, cardamom, and chestnut as well. In terms of how it comes across, it is somewhat similar to Camra by Lattafa, which means that it's gonna remind you of potentially like 15 other fragrances out there because, you know, they all kind of vibe around that general feel. But it's not quite the exact same as Camra. It also has like a faint hint of Stronger With You or Stronger With You Intensely or something because of that chestnut that's in there. Just a really nice, sweet, cozy fragrance. A little hint of freshness in there as well. Really, really solid stuff. Again, just don't expect it to fill up a room, but it will linger and smell great while doing so. And you can pick it up for about 20 bucks. Pretty good. All right, big dogs, what's next? I wanna talk about this one. This is by Harry's from Target, at least in the US. That's where I picked mine up. Moonrise is the name, says right there on the front. Amber Musk Eau de Parfum. And this is one of those fragrances where if you see it, you know nothing about it. All you know is that Harry's makes like body wash and stuff and not really expensive body wash. Then you would think this is gonna suck hard. And that's fair enough. That is fair enough. But it's actually really solid. So it does indeed have amber and musk. Those are notes. More so the musk, but there's also iris in here. You have a little ginger off the top, cashmerean, tonka. It has a really nice, clean, classy aesthetic to it. The iris is not super strong, but it is pronounced. You can pick it up. It has a smoothness to it, maybe with like a slight lean towards that Prada side of things, just as far as how that one note comes across. And for a cheapie that's sold in stores like Target, it's actually good. Surprisingly good. Michael Malul Ocean Noir Parfum up next. Now, of course, I work with Michael Malul. I have 2 new fragrances coming out underneath their brand, very beginning of April. And I'm also going to include one of my own West Loop right here as well. Both of these scents, absolutely killer. This new Ocean Noir Parfum, in my opinion, easily better than the original Ocean Noir, and the original is their bestseller. This one takes the same vibe of that one, which is basically supposed to be like a slightly darker aquatic scent profile, but still firmly in blue fragrance territory. It takes that, it makes it deeper, richer, and better performing. Because this one, Off My Skin, I did a side-by-side with the OG. This one projects more, lasts longer. Also has the new presentation style, which is a little bit upper market compared to the OG presentation style. Ocean Noir Parfum, this stuff absolutely rules. I know that the original Ocean Noir has a big fan following. This is better. And then West Loop, this is one that I creatively directed right here. This one is more fall and winter time. daytime or evening. I think early spring as well, middle of summer, I'd go for something else. And that's gonna be because this one is pretty rich and has a decent sweetness to it as well. So you're gonna get tobacco in here, you're going to get tonka, almond blossom, vanilla orchid, cinnamon, also lavender myrrh, amberwood, among other notes. So you got a lot of different things going on. Decent amount of sweetness in here off the top that carries over into the dry down. It's one that women absolutely love, and a lot of women actually wear this fragrance, which is kind of interesting because when I put it out, that wasn't like something I anticipated, but a lot of women actually ended up stealing this one for themselves, as I heard about over the years since it's come out. Also has really, really good longevity, as you would expect, because again, it's not something I really go for in the middle of summer. But West Loop and South Slope, those two fragrances that I creatively directed, those two are my most complimented from my own, which South Slope is right here. In South Slope, this is like straight up blue fragrance style. Could remind you a little bit of Y by YSL. You spray them on side by side, they're super different, but it's definitely something that when you smell it initially, if you don't have Y on at the same time, you're gonna be thinking of that. Both of those fragrances and my new ones, you'll be able to find those in the Fragrance Outlet and Perfumania across the entire country. So if you have one of those nearby, you can stop in, spray them on, check them out right in store. You don't have to blind buy if you don't want to. You can actually, wear it first, which is nice. Now, before we hit the next one, which I think is actually really, really good, especially the dry down. I think the dry down is really nice on this next one. You know what time it is, it's code time. Now, all of these are in the description, so you can just copy and paste right down there, any of the codes you need. But I've got codes for a bunch of different discounters, so JOMASHOP, those only work within the JOMASHOP app, be aware of that. Gift Express, the Perfume Box, Fragflex, Beauty House, and more. Any of those, you can use those codes to shop and save. All right, this next one is kind of weird looking. You see, it's Just Cavalli, Give Me Magic. Or is it Give Me Just Cavalli Magic? Like I said, the dry down on this is surprisingly really solid. It's about 30 bucks, so not too expensive. It is, all done out in green, and a lot of times people will shy away from green fragrances, overly aromatic scents. They just don't vibe with them a lot of times. But this one is not crazy green, so it's not as much of a problem. Now, note breakdown wise, you're gonna get cardamom, lavender, pink pepper off the top, then incense, cedar, saffron, and hinoki wood in the mid, so a little different. Amberfix, gaiac, leather, tobacco, and vanilla once you get the base. It's another one that has solid longevity. Projection though, again, not monstrous. It is an eau de toilette. Kind of performs like an eau de toilette. So by that I mean it'll linger, it'll last, but it's not gonna be super loud. So the opening has a bit of like a greenish incense that pops through, a little bit of a lift, a little zing, some nice fresh spices, a little bit of warmth underneath when you first spray it on. But the dry down smells really good. It's a vanilla that's not overly syrupy. It's not crazy heavy and gourmand like a lot of fragrances nowadays are, but it has a nice deepness to it. And then that spice, the cardamom, that carries over. You got a good amount of woodiness that's in there as well, like a modern, well done, vanilla, woodsy type scent profile. Really, really good for evenings. Good daytime fragrance as well. And that dry down just really kind of magnetic. It's one that when I got this in and I sprayed it on, I thought the opening was okay. Like, not the greatest thing ever, but not bad either. Has grown on me a little bit since then. But the dry down, like I said, I was catching little whiffs of it. Not like crazy heavy, but little whiffs through the day. And I was like, man, this is actually really, really solid. Like, what is this? Because I had forgotten what I sprayed on, because I sprayed on something here and sprayed on something there. And it was this. And so I went back the next day and wore it again. And I was just like, man, for like 30 bucks, this is a solid little daily driver. Like spring, fall time. Not bad. It hasn't gotten a lot of love online, and I think it's actually better than what has been said about it so far. I think it's actually really solid. Now this next one, kind of a caveat, this is Tom Ford Taormina Orange. So this one is new and it's expensive, man. It's a Tom Ford. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I've picked up a number of these different private blend fragrances. Some of them have not really worked for me all that much. This one tickles my brain. And that's because it is very simple, but clean, done with high quality, and just really, really wearable. It has just the right tinge of green along the edges, like a little bit of a leafiness, which gives it more of a natural feel when you first spray it on. It's got orange blossom in there, very modern, clean, slightly pillowy, the way that comes across. You've got the citrus in there, blood orange especially. As it dries down, You know, again, simple, clean, kind of musk, a little bit of oak moss. It definitely falls in line with other fragrances that have been released in this line. So it's not really like setting the world on fire as far as doing anything new. But it is, for me, like the absolute perfect summer vacation fragrance. The only issue is it's expensive, like I said. So, you know, you gotta blast it on over and over and over potentially and run through that bottle real quick. But I would wear this 10 times out of 10 over Neroli Portofino at this point. Sol de Positano, I'd rather wear this. It's just really nice. It's simple, but nice. All right, check this stuff out. This is called The Band by Scalpers. And it looks pretty standard as far as like just a square bottle and they slap a little sticker on the front there. It does have that cool like paint on the inside of the glass. I kind of dig that. This is one of those ones that's just dirt cheap. I ordered this the same time as this one right here, mainly because I was interested to see if it was like a potential, you know, cheapy hidden gem type deal. And it is surprisingly good. The atomizer kind of sucks. Not that it doesn't spray the fragrance out, it just feels kind of, you hear that? It's got like a cheap kind of feel to it. It is cheap though, so I mean, yeah. There is that. Now this is one that I could see not working for everybody because it does have like a very fresh, sweet, clean, floral kind of vibe to it. It's very zingy off the top, very fresh and bright. You've got ginger in there, you have citrus. It has a very fresh iris note as well. It's sweet iris, not a creamy, lipsticky, like dense iris, more like, almost like white florals. And that sort of just lift and freshness carries on for a long time with this one. When it dries down, it doesn't really get like dense and heavy. It just has this nice playful sort of feel to it all the way through. So completely under the radar, not something that I would say that you have to like immediately, you know, rush and grab or anything like that. But if that style of fragrance is interesting to you and you see it mad cheap like I did, it's kind of worth checking out. I did get a tester, so, you know, I was getting like the cheapest one they had, but it does come with a cap. So if you're the type of person who doesn't buy testers because you want the cap, this one has it. Ooh, it's surprisingly solid. It's like one of those ones that I thought it would suck hard because I do blind buy a lot of stuff that does end up sucking hard and it just gets, you know, relegated to the dungeon. But this stuff is actually really solid. There are a couple other Scalpers fragrances that I purchased. Yeah, right. Actually, the main reason I bought this one is because I bought this one back, I don't know, a few years ago. This one's called Boxing Club, and this is actually pretty good too. Smells like CH Men a little bit. Yeah, I actually think this is better than Michael Kors Absolute. So this is gonna be for a very particular person because the way the citrus hits, especially off the top, has a bit of that rindiness to it. So somebody like my wife who loves rindy citrus, she's about that life. And when she smells this, she just loses it. She thinks it smells amazing. So stuff like Light Blue Forever by Dolce & Gabbana, like she really dug that. But if you don't like that type of citrus, you're not gonna like this one. Especially the opening, you're gonna think it sucks because that rindiness, it's pretty aggressive when you first spray it on. So it's got lemon in there, it's got mint, it has pink pepper. It's got lavender in there as well, so like a little masculine, you know, classic touch to it, clean woods as it dries. Staying power is pretty solid. Yeah, vaguely like in the wheelhouse of something like Blue Talisman. Not the same at all, but when you smell this one, if you're familiar with that, you may be able to pick out like some bits and bobs and be like, oh yeah, you know, it's like a little similar in places to that. So sort of like in the same wheelhouse as Blue Talisman. It's really wearable, good for spring, summer, fall, potentially even winter if you want to switch it up a little bit. Completely overlooked. Like nobody cares about this stuff, but it's actually not bad. I do think the price should probably drop because Michael Kors does not really have much cachet when it comes to fragrances anymore. But if you can find this for like 50-ish bucks at discounters, pretty freaking solid at that point. Now this is one everybody and their mother hates, and that's because it's Philipp Plein. Everybody loves to hate on Big PP. That's what they call him, Big PP? Philipp Plein. Yeah, so this is no limits. Obviously it is gold, like Austin Powers back in the day. I love gold.
I love gold.
I can see myself, weird. Philipp Plein has never gotten a ton of love. And part of that is because, you know, it's a little cringe, but I also don't really care about that if the fragrance smells good and if it's affordable. It kind of does both of those things, so I'll let it slide. Now, admittedly, nobody is lining up to get themselves a sick skull bottle that also looks like a credit card with the $1 trillion limit. I think that's 1 trillion, isn't it? Yeah, that's 1 trillion. They offered me $1 trillion, I would take it, you know? So this one right here, it's got a lot of orange blossom in there, which is obviously super popular right now. And you may find some similarities between this and YSL Myself. Again, not the same, just like this, it's not the same as Blue Talisman, but definitely enough where you can draw the comparison. Now, this also has benzoin in there, which is gonna give it a little bit of a resinous warmth as it dries down. It's gonna set it apart a little bit, along with ginger and citrus. So it takes on a little bit of a solar facet as well. So in a weird kind of way, you could think of it as like YSL Myself meets 1 Million Parfum with a splash of maybe a couple other popular fragrances mixed in there, but it's kind of how it comes across. Again, I know, you know, Philipp Plein, people are gonna automatically be like, nah, it sucks, but it's actually not too bad, especially if you get it on the low. Now, I had 3 more fragrances to share, but this video is running long, so I'm gonna hit you with just 2 of those fragrances at the same time. Elie Saab L'Homme, and over here, the new Narciso Rodriguez Musk Santal. Mainly because these 2 right here, they don't smell the same, but they are gonna probably appeal to a very similar person. So first, this one, Elie Saab L'Homme. This is gonna be a dry, woody fragrance. Not really much sweetness in there to speak about. There is myrrh, but there's also a good dose of vetiver. There's cedar, pink pepper, a tiny hint of citrus, not too much of that. It could remind you vaguely of Boss Bottled Elixir, but again, this is gonna be more of a dry woodiness. Not too much sweetness that's in here. It does have a little bit of warmth and I guess you could say a hint of sweetness from that resinous base that it has. But this is gonna be more for guys middle-aged and older, looking for something classy for an evening out. It's kind of what that is. Then we got Musk Santal over here, which kind of crazy. It's already at discounters, so basically came out and hit discounters immediately. Because in the US anyway, basically hit Macy's and like, within a week, it was at JOMASHOP, so you'll figure. Now, I do think the name is boring. Musk Santal, like, oh, wow, a couple of notes, wow, how intriguing. And the note breakdown, for that matter, is also kind of boring. There's musk, there's sandalwood, hence the Santal. Cedar, clary, sage, and juniper, that's pretty much it, so. It really went all out. It's another one that's going to appeal more to guys middle-aged and older, more of a classy fragrance, a little more refined, which kind of is like the Blue Noir, you know, vibe from Narciso Rodriguez. Most of those fragrances lean a little bit more toward that. It's got a nice smoothness, a little bit creamy, a hint of sweetness. I do think between these 2 that this is the more wearable or easier to wear fragrance. And it's another one of those ones that is doing its own thing, but you could probably draw some comparisons to like half a dozen different things out there and be like, oh, a little like this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. On the whole though, it is surprisingly nice smelling. I thought it was gonna be kind of a boring mess, if I'm honest, when I heard the name and saw the note breakdown, but it's actually much better than I expected. And surprisingly, my wife liked it a lot too. So there we go, guys. There's some fragrances, a lot of these more under the radar compared to your YSL Myself, your, you know, Bleu de Chanel, Eros, Sauvage, The One, Light Blue, all that stuff. All of these much, much less worn, but in their own ways, each of these absolutely crushes. I wanna thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.